Gal Pancakes here, and joining me tonight on The Stack, I have video editor and videographer extraordinaire, Mr. Ivan Firejay. And you can see his videos on Fight, because he works with GCW, IWTV, and all over social media. Please welcome Ivan Firejay.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Firejay.
How are you doing?
I am fantastic tonight. How are you?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you on. I got to know you a little bit through Twitter and Spaces, and now I get to have you on the staff, which is super exciting for me. I like talking with people that I kind of know.
I've missed talking with you.
Aw, bless your heart. So for everyone else, where have people seen your videos? Who have you worked with? Like, you're one of those people that I think people maybe know your name, but don't necessarily connect that to you.
Yeah. I've only recently, in the past year or so, really been trying to get out and like film more at shows. I was mostly just the editor guy who like hid behind an avatar on Twitter. But no, I'd say like I've done a lot of GCW videos, like John Moxley, Nick Gage too. I did the video for that. FE versus Jeff Jarrett at the Hammerstein. I did that. Lots of good IWTV stuff. Just did the video for Cruel and Matt Tremont, which I'm excited for. I could go on for days, but it's biggest companies I've worked with were GCW, IWTV, AAW, OTT, Chikara. Those are the big ones.
And who have some of, because I know that you do stuff for companies, but I also know that you do stuff like wrestlers will like ask you like for, because you do take commissions, correct?
Yeah.
Hire Ivan. So who, like, what wrestlers have you worked with, or what I guess highlight reels? Like, what highlight reels have you done?
The biggest ones are Daniel Garcia and Lee Moriarty. Those are the big two that I always bring up. Jordan Oliver is another one. He was really the first guy to consistently hit me up. God, it's I can't keep up with how many I've done. Like, I feel like if I started to list them, I'd leave a bunch out, but all your indie darlings, quite a few of them I've had highlight reels done by myself.
So I know that you do videos by commission, but you also do videos just for fun?
Yeah. Not as much anymore because I'm trying to make money, and my schedule is getting a little more packed with commissions, but even if I wasn't being paid, I'd still be doing this. Like, this is what I like to do, and I started video editing in 2016. I didn't start getting paid till 2020. So, 4 years of like just putting out YouTube videos.
So what made you like pick certain, I don't know if it was wrestlers or matches or whatever, like to do one just for fun? Like, what catches your eye and you're like, oh, this is something that I need to like do?
I'd say it's either I find a song that I really like and I look for somebody, or I look for a wrestler who I think deserves more attention and they don't have a highlight reel, or they're not getting as much buzz as I think they should. Like, a good example was just off the top of my head was Sahara 7. I was like, God, why does she not have a highlight reel? Why are people not doing videos for this girl? And then, I just made one for fun, sent it off to her, and then she's always reminding me how much she loves it and how much she's still thankful for that. And it was a good way to build relationships as well. Just being like sending off gifts, basically being like, oh, here you go. It's just because I loved it so much. But now it's like, that's transitioned to people want to pay me now for these.
Well, that's good. That's a good problem to have, that you don't have time to do fun because you're doing work.
I make time for it, but it's
because like I know that you did the Southeast First video that was like big last year.
One of my favorites.
And did that one just for fun? Is that correct?
Yeah, I did that one because I didn't think enough I felt like it deserved a video, that big moment of AC winning the title. And I enjoyed that moment so much that just for fun, I was like, "Ooh, I just want to do a video for this." And like, I think within 5 minutes of that being posted, I got a message from IWTV like, "Hey, you want to do more of these?" I said, "Yeah, like let's go."
That's awesome that like that thing you did for fun turned into a thing you can do for money.
No, absolutely. I still haven't talked to AC about it. I want to for sure because, I always find it very rewarding to talk to the people that I've done videos for, just to get their point of view and like you know, just build that connection in person. AC's at the top of the list. I'm someone I just want to discuss like videos with, and I want to do more stuff with him.
That's awesome. I hope that you get that chance someday. I really like AC. I think he's a fantastic wrestler, super great human. I hope that have you been able to meet him at all, or
Nope.
have your paths just not crossed?
Paths have not crossed. It would have happened at Mania weekend, but a lot of stuff going on. So
Yeah, the Mania weekend's always crazy because you have like a thought in your head about, oh, I want to make sure I talk to this person, and then there's so many people there, and there's so many other things going on, and sometimes your paths just do not cross.
Yep.
And it's like, well,
I got to meet a lot of people that Mania weekend though. So it was, there was only like 2 or 3 people that I was like, shoot, next time.
yeah, it's crazy because you start talking to one person, you get distracted by somebody else all over the place because it is a very big, like networking heavy event. If you're in the wrestling space to do things like yourself.
Yeah. And I don't think we hadn't met for Tampa Mania weekend. Not a lot of people knew me. I showed up with 100 business cards. I was just handing those things out like Tic Tacs. And I swear that really did contribute to how big of a year I had in 2021 because it was just everybody and their mother. I was like, take a card.
Wow. You didn't say hi to me. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I knew who you were, but we didn't know each other. I knew of you from Puff's Twitch, but shout out Puff.
Shout out Puff, indeed. Yes, I knew you from Puff's Twitch. If you would have came up to me in person and said, "Hey," like slapped me and said, "Who do you think I am?" I'd have been like, "I don't know."
I didn't have a beard then either, so you really wouldn't have known who I was.
I was thinking, I'm like, I think I've only ever seen you with a beard.
Yeah, most people haven't.
So you've gone to Mania Weekend in Tampa. You went to Mania Weekend last year. Are you going to Mania Weekend next year?
Probably not, because I don't think I'm going to have the money. But we'll see. It's like a 98% chance not going to happen this year, which I'm really sad about. But I'm more focused on getting reps in on each show, like going to shows twice a month, 3 times a month, filming. And that's eating into my budget, because last year I had months to save up for Mania. But I would rather get consistent videos than Mania this year.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I said that I wasn't going to go to Mania next year, but I have swiftly changed my mind. So
it's FOMO. You hate missing it.
Plus, like trying to watch like those shows, they're going to be at such weird times.
There were moments in Dallas when you and me would cash out like on the wall, and we'd just be like, okay, just 2 matches. We'll sit down for a minute and then we'll get back up. But like it would turn into like half a show and it'd be like, all right, we'll get the next show. But like,
yeah, it's like when you're going, like, especially if you've never, like, to people who have never been to like Mania weekend, and especially like indie Mania weekend where you're going to collective stuff, which is GCW stuff.
12 shows.
You're going to 4 shows a day for 3 days. Like, first show starts at 11 or noon. You get there about a half hour before that. You're there until like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then you like in the morning, and then you just like get up and do it all again the next day.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think I made it to 6 or 7 shows. And then one of them, I don't think I watched any of the matches. I just sat on the side. I was just like, I can't do it.
You do really have to like pick and choose. I don't want to say pick and choose your battles, but like pick and choose what you're going to focus your full attention on and what you're going to use to like talk to people that you only see, 2 or 3 times a year. And you have to have that balance of like, yes, I want to watch wrestling, but also I want to network and talk to people and also their stuff. So, and eventually you want to have something to eat, maybe a sleep every now and again. Like
my favorite show was still that first show, the Glory Pro show, because I had all the energy in the world. And I remember every match and I was like, this is great. It's hard to remember. Like the only other show that I had that much energy was the brunch, because I was like, this is my last show. I can get my energy back up.
Power through. But it's a lot of fun. I would recommend it if people can swing it, that they go, just because it's such a cool atmosphere, just being around like a bunch of other like indie wrestling dorks like yourself. Like
if you're a vendor or someone who works in the wrestling business, it is invaluable, like to market,
Yep. That's when you start figuring out, meeting people that you only know online and just, being somebody that they can put a face and a person to an online avatar,
Yep.
And I think I know like for me, like that's been very helpful for me in what I do. I can only assume that has translated for you as well.
Yeah. I'd say I'm a little better at selling things in person and being like expressing my ideas better in person than over the internet,
Yeah, it's hard to like set up shot for shot with like an IM.
Yeah, pretty much.
But what made you like decide to go the extra mile and go from video editing to also taking video at shows?
I think I went as far as maybe anyone has ever gotten in independent like wrestling video stuff who doesn't own a camera. I just bought my first camera this year, but I had a video in like debut in the Hammerstein Ballroom and I didn't own a camera. Like that's ridiculous. And that's farther than anyone who doesn't have a camera and doesn't shoot their own stuff should get. And I felt that glass ceiling and I was like, shoot, I need to film my own stuff, so I took a really high paying, terrible job for a couple months and I took all the money from that and I bought my Fuji camera and, I've been trying to get to a lot of shows and, I think it's made me a better editor as well. And it's like, I'm addicted to it now because it's like, it's awoken this like whole other creative side of me. And it's just, as well as big companies aren't looking for just editors. They're looking for people who can produce whole segments and produce whole videos, one-stop shop, basically. So I'm trying to make myself a multi-purpose video guy.
So I know that you're based out of Texas. Maybe other people don't know that, but I know that.
West Texas. It's great.
So what shows do you go to? What is wrestling like in that neck of the woods?
So I live in the middle of nowhere, West Texas. So to put some context, the big 3 cities in Texas are, Dallas, Houston, Austin. I am 5 hours from Dallas. I am 6 hours from Austin, and I am 8 hours from Houston. So Houston is the Mecca. Everybody runs in Houston. So to go to any Houston show, I got to drive 8 hours. Or with my last job, I was able to fly, but can't afford that now. But I'd say the most consistent company I go to is Pele Pro out of Arlington, which is a suburb of Dallas. And, they run some good shows. They just did Fuego del Sol, Hammerstone, a bunch of guys were at their show this weekend. I also work with Wrestle Rave, who runs out of Houston, the Premier Arena. Do some stuff with New Texas too, also out of Houston. And I'm going to be working with Inspire out of Austin in December.
Nice.
So it's a lot of driving, but there's nothing around me, or if they are around me, I hate to be that guy, but it's such a low level show. It's just not worth going.
No, I understand that. Definitely understand having to drive. Luckily I have a decent local that's here in town, but otherwise
so jealous.
otherwise I'm driving. And luckily for me, it's more like 2, 3, 4 hours, but
8-hour drive, you start to contemplate your existence around hour 6. You're like, oh, what is life? Like
6 hours is about what I can drive comfortably. 8 hours is doable, but it's like uncomfortable.
It's extremely uncomfortable, but it's all about, paying your dues and making towns and proving to everybody that you want this, and if I get one video a month out of this, if I have to drive 8 hours, so be it. I love this to death,
So you drive 8 hours there, you drive 8 hours back. How long does it take you to edit it?
Well, to put some context,
into
Pele
like
Pro,
usable whatever.
Yeah. So Pele Pro, I drove down Saturday, went to the show, spent the night and drove back. I drove back, took like a couple hours nap, and then just immediately banged out the video in probably like 2.5 hours. So, and then the first Pele Pro show I went to, I drove 5 hours, went to the show, and then drove 5 hours back, like immediately, and almost died on the road coming back because I almost fell asleep. But I'm usually so excited, and I usually have like the video mapped out in my head already, to the point where as soon as I get home and as soon as I got the footage, we're just going. Give me a couple hours, it's done.
Like, I guess that's interesting to me. If it's more than 4 hours, I'm staying the night. Like, I can't.
That's smart. The 5-hour trip, literally, I had to like call. I called Alex. I called a couple of other people to be like, you got to keep me awake. Like, I'm going to die on this road. Like, I learned my lesson. I don't do that anymore.
Well, thank God for that. I'm glad you didn't die.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're still amongst the living, Mr. Ivan Firejay. So, kind of like taking it back. What was a young Ivan Firejay like? What were you like as a child?
All over the place. I have pretty severe ADD. So I was a bit of what the other kids called a spaz. I know that's not a great term anymore, but I got called that, quite a bit. So, yeah, young me was just very energetic and all over the place, and definitely some bullying, but it's I'm a bit bigger now, so that helps. But I was a thin little kid, like real scrawny, tiny, and yeah, just extremely like creative. Like, I was always like playing in the backyard. I'd create these like entire worlds, and I'd have like all this lore in my head. I was like 9. I don't know how I did this. And the reason I go by Ivan Firejay, which spoiler, is not my real name, is that was a character I created when I was a kid, like playing in the backyard. So it was my way of like representing my creativity as I got older, because my creativity like died when I hit like age 10 or 11, and it didn't come back until I found wrestling. So,
aww. Well, I'm glad that you found wrestling. You're like, for those of y'all that like have never met Ivan and don't know, you're over 6 feet tall, right?
Yeah, I'm 6'2". Yeah.
I was like, you're like a really tall person.
Yeah, and that's hard, especially when you're trying to film ringside. It's like I got to get on my knees and like scrunch, so I'm not in anybody's way.
I was like, as far as that's concerned, like, as if they have like a big tall ring, that's probably okay. But if they're on the floor, maybe a little more difficult.
It's a little. I try and stay out of the way as best I can, but it's hard.
I was like, so you're 6'2".
Yeah, it's my head's up to is over like it's right at that first, buckle, but we try.
So who has had the most influence on you both in wrestling and out of wrestling?
Like creatively?
However you want to answer that question. Whatever those words invoke in you.
I'll go with video guys. Because I would say John Carlo is extremely influential to me. He AEW, GCW video guy. He was the one who did those like early Joey Janela like VHS promos. Seeing those especially really like I was a weird kid in high school. I wasn't watching music videos. I was watching promos, like those like WWE style, like, vignettes and hype pieces. Like I'd watch them I'd have them in my headphones as I was like walking down the hall in school. Like I just fell in love with that art form. And John Carlo was one of the first people I saw like on the indies doing it. So I think that put it in my head like, oh, I could do this. But I didn't realize that's what I wanted to do yet. And then Sean Ryan, who did the videos for OTT in Ireland and then eventually went to NXT UK. He did the videos for like Jordan Devlin versus Walter that everybody saw and everybody freaked out about. His videos inspired me so much because he was the first person who I saw. I had like ideas in my head of what I thought wrestling could represent. And then I saw his videos and I'm like, oh my God, it works. Exactly what I thought. And those are the two most influential people to me. And the fact that I've gotten to talk to both of them and kind of pick their brains has been, it's such a great opportunity.
I like that there seems to be like a thought of like collaboration is good versus seeing everyone as like my competition and I'm gonna get you.
I think that's human nature to like view everyone else as competition, but at the same time, I think a lot of the video guys out there right now are all so different in our styles that I'm guilty of viewing people as competition, but I think as I've gotten older, I'm a little more chill. Like a perfect example being Tony D, who I bet in some people's minds, you would think we wouldn't like each other because we do run in extremely similar circles and sometimes we overlap, but love that guy. He's so generous. He's so just a great person to talk to. There's just not many people in the video sphere that I don't vibe well with. Like we're all just doing our thing.
Nice. I mean, there's just thousands of independent wrestlers and dozens of companies that there's room for everybody to kind of find their path or however you want to look at it. Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's also crazy now that like what I am is I'm a freelance videographer. That didn't really exist in wrestling like 6-7 years ago. It was people who worked with their companies. But then, people came along, like there was a generation of me, Tony, J Rose, Abdullah, guys who floated between different companies. And it's cool now to also see like new people come into video editing and they're not just like one company. Like it's almost like that generation kind of influenced a new generation of like creating this freelance video editing market where people can like, I'll go to this company. I'll go to this company. It's wild to see.
I think too, with just the rise in people putting their product out there for other people to see has maybe changed that a little bit because
a lot.
For a while, it's like, I've been around independent wrestling for 10 years. and when you think about how many shows were never taped, never put anywhere. Nobody ever saw it. If it was taped, it stayed with the company that probably went under 5 years ago. Like, there's so much that, especially, 10 years ago, but even, 15 years ago, people never even knew existed because there was nowhere for it to go. And to now have such like a wealth of places for stuff to go and for people to see it, I think it's made companies realize how much more important it is to have somebody, maybe not with your company, but somebody that's actually good at it to like do highlight videos and vignettes and reels and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like IWTV can show me someone who's like, I don't know, 10, 15 matches in, has no sort of like video presence whatsoever. But if I'm like drawn into that person, I'll just reach out to them and I'll say like, hey, like let's do stuff. I mean, that's how I met Robert Martyr. I saw him on a couple of small shows on IWTV and I was just like, I want to work with that guy. And then we ended up doing like 20, 30 freaking videos together. And that was when he started to kind of build his video presence. And now he's like so much more fleshed out as a character and he's doing amazing things. But it's very gratifying that I get to work with some of these people early on and kind of help translate their vision into like a video form.
Yeah, especially like when you mentioned Robert Martyr, how far he's come in even 2-3 years.
So proud of him.
From being like, and it's so weird because it's like when I watch him like on a show on IWTV or whatever, and I see him in the ring, he looks big and tough, and then you meet him
with his shorts like halfway up his body. Yeah, it's a contrast.
And he's so nice and genuine, and it's good to see like people make a name and a presence for themselves. And I would imagine just knowing that you've helped that along.
It's a great feeling for sure.
And like, especially because not everyone is going to sit down and watch every random IWTV show or every GCW show or every whatever show, because people have like lives and stuff. I don't, but I know people that
me neither, but
but sometimes that minute and a half, 2-minute long video is what will draw people in, especially on Twitter and Instagram, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to start moving to Instagram a little more.
Oh, aren't we all?
Yeah,
I'm so bad at Insta. Oh, I'm so bad.
I am too. Like, I've mastered Twitter, but now it's like, who knows what's going to happen?
Right. Fingers crossed that like all of this
everything stays
down.
Somewhat the same. Please
for the Twitter presence I already have. Yeah. I don't have the capacity to do this other places.
Can't do it again. Like,
same. Like, I'm not attractive enough to do well on Instagram. Like, please let me have Twitter. Where I don't have to post a photo of myself every time I want to say something. God. Nobody needs that. But for you, with the videos that you do, like, do you have a big Instagram presence, or do you notice it growing?
It's growing, but it's like I'll post once a month. I'll post like the 3 or 4 best videos I did that month, all within like 5 minutes of each other. It's just, Twitter is my thing. I'm trying to keep an Instagram presence, but it's the same as my YouTube presence. Like, it's a backlog. Twitter is like, oh, what's happening today? But Instagram's like, all right, here's what I've done the past 6 weeks. Here you go.
Yeah,
I'm trying
more
to
of like a content storage than like an engagement type place.
Exactly.
Well, everyone go follow Ivan Firejay on Instagram. So
at Firejay Media. Why I didn't do at Ivan Firejay on Instagram, I don't know, but
It's, yeah, no, I get it.
Making it hard for myself. It's fine.
So, what has been your greatest achievement in wrestling so far? However you define that.
Effie versus Jeff Jarrett at the Hammerstein, without a doubt. The fact that it played in the venue, like, and that's the venue where like One Night Stand happened, you know, like Ring of Honor's big shows, like that's the most surreal moment I've had. And that's the moment that I always go back to when I'm like, you did that. Like, no one can take that away from you. If I'm done tomorrow, it's like I had a video debut in the Hammerstein. So I got that without owning a camera.
So, what would you say has been the greatest obstacle that you've overcome in wrestling?
Skipping past not having a camera. I'd say biggest obstacle. Just building that first bit of buzz. You know, because like I said, I've been editing since 2016. I didn't get on Twitter really till like 2020, but it's just, it's hard to get that first bit of buzz. It's much easier than it used to be now, but like getting consistent, getting good views, you know, and like constantly having content out there. That was the hard part until finally in like 2021, that was the year where I was like, okay, all right, now the hard work's starting to pay off, you know, because I've probably done like 1,000 videos at this point, you know, and it about 75% of those have not been seen, you know, but you gotta, you know, you gotta be okay with that. It's like wrestling, you know, it's an opportunity will come out of nowhere. And sometimes you feel like you're grinding for no reason. And you're like, God, no one's watching this. No one cares, you know, but it's just, you keep going and you're like, an opportunity is going to come. That's the hard part. And I still struggle with that, but you know, opportunities don't come.
Yeah. You kind of have to put yourself out there and just keep putting yourself out there and hope that the right person sees you at the right time.
Yeah. And like, I was just messaging a bunch of people like, oh, let me do a video for you. Let me do a video for you. Just going on red constantly. And then one day Jordan Oliver hit me up and I thought it was like a bot account. And that was the moment when like things changed, you know, because I felt like at the time was the best thing I'd ever done, knocked it out of the park. And that led to Alice Taylor hitting me up. That led to Griffin McCoy hitting me up. And that led to, you know, quite a few other people hitting me up. You know, and that's what started the ball rolling. And then the mass marketing started of putting the logo at the beginning of every video. And I was like, I want that logo on the timeline once a day. That was the goal. And then eventually some people got sick of it. Some people were messaging me like, God, if I see your logo one more time. And I'm like, it's working.
You're like, excellent.
Excellent. You know, like it's...
So going from, you said you started in 2016, kind of started picking up steam in 2020, 2021. How did the pandemic impact your ability to do videos?
If I'm being perfectly honest, the pandemic helped me. Because it was people who they weren't wrestling, but they wanted to stay, you know, they wanted to stay relevant. They wanted to stay consistently in people's minds. So a bunch of people needed highlight reels. And I wasn't a big highlight reel person. I liked making music videos, and up until 2020, I'd only done like 3 videos. Twan Tucker, Edith Surreal, Keita Murray. Like that was it. Shout out those 3. I think those were my first 3 clients. But I love all 3 of them. But 2020, it was a lot of people who they weren't getting any work. So, you know, I lowered my price and I said, hey, pandemic special, Like, do you need a video? Like, just to remind people you're here. And that's what, that's when I did stuff with Lee Moriarty, and, that's what led to a lot of picking up that steam,
Nice. Yeah. People wanted to remain visible when there was no wrestling, or very, very little.
Exactly.
But I'm glad that it worked out for you. I think, like, for me in my capacity, the pandemic gave me time to kind of catch up to where other people were.
Yeah.
As far as I was kind of coming in kind of new into independent wrestling, not in my local area. And everybody was home and bored. So it was a lot of, if you're good at networking, you could kind of start using that to your advantage.
Yeah. I mean, there was nothing to do, so people had to get creative,
So I asked this question to everybody that I have on here. I'm going to ask you, even though it's a little bit weird and maybe doesn't apply, but it's still a really fun question regardless. If you had an action figure of yourself, and it was one of the ones that could say words or phrases, what would you want it to say, and what accessories would it come with?
It would probably say some swear words, but I'll think of something else. Oh, it would come with a laptop for sure. And maybe my little Fuji film camera. I'm trying to think of something I say all the time.
You need a catchphrase.
I'll send you the good footage I shoot, brother. Like something like that. I say that a lot, shoot. I guess that I don't I have things that, like, I don't want to swear on here, but like,
you can swear, it's fine.
Well, it's like I have a really crappy computer that like barely works, and there's so many times where it'll just give out, and I'll just go, God fucking damn it, like, that's what I probably say more than anything, is because this computer is so bad. I'm just, God fucking, and I'm like, because I'm this close to finishing it, and then the whole thing goes down. I'm like, oh God, when was the last time I saved? And it's like
that panic that sets in. You're like, oh,
a lot of that. Yeah. So
turn it into like a sales pitch, like, hire Ivan Firejay for all your video needs.
I should have. Why didn't I think of that?
Competitive rates. I don't know.
Yeah, little business cards come flying out.
Like one of those little like money shooters, but it's just like Ivan Firejay business cards.
Oh my goodness!
You should do that. You should
find one of those. Don't
do that for the next show you go to, and just see what happens. Just in
the locker room.
Someone gets like a wicked paper cut.
No, oh God! Yes, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I if you do that, I'm gonna humbly request that you do video, and just put that on Instagram. Make that an Instagram exclusive video of you with a.
I'm shooting some footage with Merc in like 2 weeks.
Fun.
Maybe I should do that. Like, I'll pretend to be filming him, and then I'll just, like, he turns around and I slowly pull out the money gun and just.
As long as you say "Glory be," I think he'll be fine.
Glory be, and just like cards everywhere. It's like the scene in Harry Potter with the envelopes like falling down.
Oh,
shout out Merc.
Merc is fun. Shout out Merc.
I met him for the first time in person this weekend, and I didn't think he was gonna be there, and he just walked in. I was like, dude, like, it was him and Aaron Wade. And I was just like, what are you guys doing here? Like,
Merc is fantastic. The last time I saw him, it was at a show that I didn't think he was going to be on. I was like, Merc!
They're making towns. I mean, that was a Texas show, and like, they don't live anywhere near Texas. So I was quite shocked to see them.
Have you met Aaron Wade before?
I think we know of each other. I think he knows who I am, but we met for the first time, this past weekend, where I just went like, hey, love your stuff, let's do something together. He was just like, oh yeah, cool. So I think he wants to do something for his tag team, which great tag team. So
Great tag team, Aaron Wade and Coach Cody Manhorn, friends of the stack. Love those two.
Squatting
They're
Dragons.
Fantastic. I legitimately love those two dudes. They're so fun.
They were in the Battle Royal at my show, and
I'm glad they got in the Battle Royal.
Yeah, they were great. I don't think they saw me with the camera until they were eliminated, and then as soon as they saw me, they like put on the facial expressions like, "Oh, we lost," and I was just like working the camera. I appreciate it, guys. Like
those two dudes are so fantastic. I
were great.
Absolutely love them.
So many shout outs in this episode.
All right. Well, I mean,
it's not enough. More shout outs.
We need more. And it helped that you picked like a lot of friends of the stack and friends of the Bald Monkeys, which to be fair is a lot of people at this point. But like you picked a lot of Southern people. That's a lot of people that I work with.
Yeah. No, I mean, people, I don't know, maybe someone from the outside might have thought I just jumped on the Southeast first bandwagon because it was popular, but like being in the South, Texas is the South, like I have a lot of pride for Southern wrestlers, and, I see a lot of those Southern guys come over to Texas, so I love this from the Southeast to the South Central Texas scene. I have a lot of love.
Hell yeah. I'm from the Midwest, and I've been lucky that since I've joined with the Bald Monkeys and started doing the stack, that I've been sort of like taken in by the Southeast. So I feel a lot of love for them. They are everyone that I've ever met has been so wonderful and sweet and kind. And I love the Southeast.
Except for Merrick Donovan.
What?
I'm kidding. I love you, Merrick.
What?
Just like the nicest person ever.
I was like, he's such a sweetheart.
So he pretends to be.
I mean,
No,
he is pretty cutthroat at Uno.
Yeah.
But they are.
He just sent me a selfie one day of him and a horse. Just him and the horse. And I was just like, unprompted. I was like, cool, Merrick. That's great.
Wow, Merrick doesn't send me selfies of him and the horse.
That's that's a Firejay guy right there. We're gonna make sure he succeeds. Like, he's one of my favorite people in wrestling.
He is fantastic. He's such a sweetheart. I was able to see him and catch up with him a little bit at SCI this past year. Super excited to see where he will go and end up, to kind of catch somebody on the come up and to see where they're gonna eventually progress to is always exciting.
He's a first ballot. If I were ever to print, I'm an Ivan Firejay guy. First ballot Firejay guy.
Aw.
Jeez. I'm not going to print those shirts. That is a horrible idea. But
shout out Merrick Donovan. Like, it's been I feel like I've been very fortunate to have met a lot of really cool people and really good people and travel a whole bunch. So
trying to catch up with you on the traveling, but the people I've met so far in wrestling is, I don't get out too much. I'm pretty guarded and, I'm kind of keep to myself, but it's the people I've met in wrestling are, I've met some bad people, but 9 times out of 10, I've met some amazing people.
Yeah. The good has always outweighed the bad for me.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And it's like the bad people don't matter. You have to kind of.
Yeah. You're not around them much, because you just disengage.
Yep. You just choose not to talk to them. And if you see them at shows, you can ignore them is what it's usually the role I take is I just pretend you ain't there. Yeah. Keep her moving.
Yeah, shake your hand, go about your way. Just.
Yep. Plenty of other people there to engage with. So
exactly.
don't need to waste my time on people that don't matter. What is the wrestling word that you use most outside of wrestling?
Gimmick. Gimmick, brother. Brother is only when it's like I've just come home from a wrestling show. Or like at a show. I say brother a lot, but like gimmick is one. No sell. I say no sell a lot. Pop. It's bad. It's bad.
See, like you and I both are not wrestlers. We have never been wrestlers, but we hang around with a lot of wrestlers.
You're in a locker room long enough, you start to say those things, you know. And my favorite is it's now bled over into my family, where I forget what the scenario was, but it was like an NCIS or something. I was like visiting my mother, and she was like, "Oh, he looked like he bladed." I just put my head in my hands, and I was just like, "What have I done?"
You corrupted your poor sweet mother.
What have I done? But no, gimmick, I say too much. And I've had people go like, why do you say that? like, oh, look at this Christmas gimmick over here. You know, it's just like, you know.
It's a good filler placeholder word for other things, for
yeah.
everything. It can be every part of speech.
Yeah. I can't stand like people who aren't wrestlers, because there's certain words I don't say that wrestlers use that I know it's like, hey, I can use a couple of these, but there's some that are like so insider. I'm like, okay, only people in ring should use those words. You know, like Iggy is one that I'm like, I'm never going to say that. You know, I hear it all the time, but I'm never going to say it because that's not for me. But I can't stand like fans who use those words. Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm just like, that's not your word. Like, use gimmick, use no sell, use those words. You know, but
yeah.
Like, there's certain words I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, like more like in-ring mechanic type words. I'm like,
that's not for you.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I try not to set foot in a ring if I can at all help it.
I've never been in a ring. I don't plan on it unless I'm filming. Like, wrestling is the love of my life. I've loved it since I was 15 years old. I treat it with more respect than anything in my life. And so there are certain things I just don't do. You know, I don't get in the ring. I don't go in into the actual locker room. I'll go backstage. I don't go in the locker room. You know, there's certain things that are just like, hey, we don't do that. You know.
Yep. I've been working with my local for 8 years. I have been in the locker room exactly twice. Yeah. And it was because somebody specifically told me to go and get somebody or tell somebody something specific. Otherwise, that is not the place for me. I don't need to see what's going on back there. It does not pertain to me. It's not exactly
exciting anyway. It's just,
no.
But like as auxiliary people, you need to learn that like there's a line. You're there to help. You're there to make everybody look good. But you're not. The show's not about you. And you know, there's certain parts of the show that you don't need to be involved with. There's certain things you don't need to be doing. You know. And that just came naturally to me. I don't know why, but like I see some people that are just like people who aren't involved in wrestling to come film. They're like, I'm just going to walk right in the locker room and, oh, this guy's masked, but I don't pay attention. I'm going to start filming him. And I'm like, oh, there's something. Just
what are you doing?
Pay attention. Just pay a little bit of attention, you know?
Yeah, I feel the same as you do. I don't go in the locker room. I don't know that I've ever been in a ring. Other than at one point, several, like over a decade ago, probably a decade and a half ago, because I'm old, I would go, like me and my sister went to a bunch of like TNA shows. And at the end, you could get in the ring and take a picture with whatever wrestler that they had.
That's different.
As like a photo op. Like, I honestly believe that's like the only time I've ever crawled into a ring.
Yeah. Never have. And the only time I go in the locker room is to like put my stuff down. And then it's like, I get all my stuff. I put it in my pockets and I'm like, let's go. And then come back, get my stuff, you know, but it's just a respect thing, you know?
Yeah. I'm not lingering around while people are trying to put together matches and doesn't interest me.
Sometimes I'll ask like, if there's something I need to look out for.
Yeah.
You know, like if I got somebody who's a client of mine who's in a match, I'll be like, hey, I got you, but like, is there a big spot that like you need me to get? And they'll tell me, you know, But, oh, I'm doing something on the apron, which I wouldn't have caught unless they had told me, you know. And I always appreciate that because at the end of the day, I'm going to send them the footage. So it's helping them if they tell me.
Well, that too. And I suppose, like, from your perspective, if you're at ringside, like shooting, you need to know which side to be on.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets a little scary.
And to both get really good shots and like to avoid anything like banana sandwiches. So you don't get like blasted with a light tube or something.
Freaking Dale Springs threw one of his golf clubs and hit my camera at the last show.
Oh,
that punk.
Oh, that would have like.
I'm kidding. I love Dale, but it's
I've never met Dale, but he has it on the stat.
He has. I didn't know. No, he's a great guy. We got some. I convinced him to shoot some like B-roll at the Pele show, so I was like laying down in this muddy grass, like filming him like take shots with his golf club.
Nice.
It's all for the video. You know, I was like, just trust me. Just trust me.
Like that kind of stuff would be like a cool entrance video.
Exactly. And then like for my Pele Pro music video, I had a shot of him like walking into the building and the club like slowly comes over his back. It's just like, I realized when I was filming that there were so many other people filming that I needed to be different. And everybody's really good at getting in-ring stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the in-ring guy. I'm going to be like the character guy. I'm going to get cool shots of like character setup, you know, people walking in, walking backstage, like establishing characters better. And then also getting ring stuff. But that's my focus, is telling the story of these characters.
Yeah, especially when like Dale Springs has like a fully fledged out like character persona, however you want to look at it.
Exactly. And then like, you know, somebody like Merc, who like when he gets in the ring, you know, he's doing his thing, but like outside of the ring, he's got like goons, he's got a hat, a cape, and it's like, God, why wouldn't you want to get shots of that? Like I get to the venue early. I message a couple of people on these shows and I go, hey, if you want to film, just get to the building like 2 hours early. We'll do some stuff, you know? And that's my favorite part of it, is we get to look around the venue and be like, okay, what fits, you know? We'll be like, oh, like, let's go in this room. And then we'll like film some cool character stuff, you know, helps them, helps me, you know, helps everybody all around. It also makes us think creatively.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, I can't think of like a whole lot of other people that are probably out like doing that kind of work. And I think as video, like more companies have entrance videos, that kind of stuff will become more important.
Yeah, I'd say so. And it's just, I don't know. I just knew I had to be different. And like, that's the thing about my entire editing and video careers. I've always tried to look and see what's missing and what I can do differently. And that's always helped. It might not like get me the attention or the acclaim that I wanted, but at the very least it helped like progress me forward. You know, and that was the thing. I saw guys like Tusslemania, Tony D, Pro Wrestling Cinema, all these people who are getting such good shots of in-ring that I was like, I need to get good at that, but that doesn't need to be my focus if I'm trying to be different. You know, they're already killing it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, you find ways to market yourself.
Nice. So you had mentioned that you have to drive a little bit in order to go to shows. What are you listening to on your drives? Like, what is your go-to, like either road music or if you listen to podcasts? Like,
yeah, I always download a couple of podcasts. The Sessions with Renee Paquette is always a good one. The Struggles, you know, Spotlight series, you know, I'll go back and listen to some of those old ones while I'm driving. Shout out Struggles. What else? And then music, it's like I have such a wide variety, but a lot of the times I'll be listening to the song that I want for the music video while I'm driving. And then I'm thinking of what I'm going to do, to the point when like when I finally do the video, I'm like, oh, thank God I never have to listen to this song again. And no one tells you that as a video person, that you ruin songs because you got to hear them like a billion times in the edit. So to the point when you're done, you're like, ugh, like never again. But no, it's just like a wide variety of like from metal to punk to rap to, it's all over the place. But
What would be the most surprising song on the Ivan Firejay playlist?
Complicated by Avril Lavigne. That's my guilty pleasure song. I love that song, but I'll jam out like that and maybe Rockstar by Nickelback, because I listened to that as a kid and I still think that's a good song, regardless of what people think of Nickelback. Rockstar, still solid.
I'm more like pained by the fact that like you said you listened to that as a kid, and I was like, I was solidly old by the time that already came out.
First album I ever bought with my own money was Nickelback's All the Right Reasons when I was 9 years old. Yep.
I feel like an old, I feel like I might as well just be like Sophia.
Listen, I was still born in the 90s, 98 technically, but I'm not a 2000s kid.
Bless. I don't think I could be your mom. It would be very improbable.
That still freaks people out with the bald head and the beard. They're like, you're 30, right? I'm like, no, 24.
So you still got a lot of years left.
Yeah. So many more years, so many more videos.
How many, like, ballpark, like, how many videos do you think you produce in like a month? Like, if you have like a good regular month.
10 to 15.
That's fun, like every 2-3 days. Like, that's a lot.
The month of January in 2021, I did, I think, 40.
Jesus.
40, 42, something like that. That was when I did the GCW Hall of Fame as well, and that really screwed me because I already was like completely booked up I was doing a video a day, and then GCW hit me up and said, can you do the Indie Hall of Fame induction videos? And I was like, yeah, of course. But I was doing like 2 videos a day, and
like internally screaming.
It was bad, but everything got done. Everything got produced.
Well, and you can't turn down like an opportunity like that.
Indie Hall of Fame, when I was doing like the induction videos for like Homicide and Jerry Lynn, I couldn't turn that down. That was a great honor.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not a lot of people know I did those, but
you should tell people.
No, I like having a couple of secrets that I can be like, hey, did you know I also did this?
Fair enough. You don't want to reveal everything, but also like maybe people really like those and maybe they'll hire you off of them.
Here, do you want a stack exclusive?
Yes. I always want stack exclusives.
I think only like 2 or 3 people know this, but this is so stupid. But I did the Homicide induction video. I did it to like a Suicide Boys songs, and I put like a police scanner audio under the beginning because it just sounded hard. And I was like, this is cool, but like I want them to say like 817, because it's Homicide's gimmick. So on this microphone, I recorded myself saying code 817, and I edited it so it like it kind of sounds like it's on the scanner. So if you watch that back, you hear someone go like code 817, which I don't even think that's the proper way of like to say it, but yeah, that was me. I put that in there.
That's awesome. Like you got into recording your own things for your videos because you thought it would fit better.
That's one of the only times I've ever done it, but it's yeah, I was just like, well, might as well, because I tried for hours to find a good like audio of that and I couldn't find it, so I was like, shoot, I'll just do it myself. But yeah, I haven't told anybody that, so there you go.
Jack exclusive.
Yeah.
So on your road trips, like, I am a Snackosaurus Rex. I love snacks. What are your road snacks? Like, what are you eating to make sure that you don't die while you're driving?
I always got my Blue Monster. Always. you saw me chug quite a few of those in Dallas. Goldfish is always a go-to for me. Cliff Bars always a go-to for me. Again, something you saw me like survive off of in Dallas.
You were so kind as to gift me a bag of goldfish, and one day that was like the only thing I had eaten that was like real food. And thank you because I needed it.
I was so broke. I had $40 in my bank account when I drove to Dallas. And I had a bag of goldfish, Cliff Bars, and Monsters. And I was like, this is all I can eat for the next like 3 days. And I didn't tell anybody. So no,
you didn't.
No, so because I thought people would be like, let me buy you food. I'm like, no, I'm good. And I lived off that. And then as I was driving home, I like treated myself to a meal because I hadn't spent any money. I'm very broke, but I make it work. Same thing I did this weekend. I bought a bunch of snacks for the road and said, all right, this is my food for the next 2 days.
I'm scolding you from the future about things from the past.
Look, I don't need more food. It's fine.
I
Tisk.
And I know that you did the same thing roughly in Tampa.
Tampa was a little different. I had a little more money then. But no, yeah, it was similar, which I lived off of 7-Eleven hot dogs because there was a 7-Eleven like 2 blocks over. And yeah, they were like $1 hot dogs. So I had $1 hot dogs like 5 or 6 times while I was in Tampa.
Amen. I mean, I appreciate your, what's what I'm looking for? Dedication to making it work for indie wrestling.
We try.
So you alluded to this earlier. I don't know if you want to share, but I always ask, especially people that I know travel, and I know that you travel, what your best travel story is. Something either funny that happened or exciting or something that was very memorable, or if you showed up to like a venue to shoot video or whatever, and you go there and you go, what the fuck is this? Like, so like a wrestling horror story.
The first time I saw the Premier Arena in Houston was pretty scary. It's in the middle of not the best part of Houston, and you turn down an alley, and it's like a dirt mud road, and you see 2 warehouses, and it's like in a junkyard. So there's like old abandoned school buses and shit. And you see one is a chop shop, and they're like rebuilding a car, and it's got one of those like Texas Chainsaw Massacre like sliding doors. And then there's the building on the left. You open it up, and there's a ring in there. And I love the Premier Arena with all my heart. First place I ever got to film ringside, but most Texas people will tell you it's sketchy. It's
a little jarring going into it sight unseen.
Yeah, first time I went there was to see GCW, and I remember going, there's no way this is the right place, but other than that, me and John Fist traveling from Houston to Dallas, because I don't get to travel with people very often because, I live in Lubbock and there's not many other people out here. There's like one other guy who's like a wrestler who's constantly doing stuff. Other than that, it's like 2 of us. That's it. And we don't really know each other very well. So me and John going from Houston to Dallas was so nice because I had company.
Aww.
God, other than that, just there was a guy in front of me on the way to Dallas this past trip. He passed me, and he was a pickup truck, and he had 3 aluminum ladders. I remember thinking that's weird. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, what's that in the road? Shit. And I like move, and there was a ladder just in the middle of the road.
Almost Final Destination to yourself.
Yeah, it was scary, but no. And then there's just a lot of horror stories of me like driving, and then I'm just, and I like wake up, and it's like, I was like, I'm drinking like 4 Monsters, 5-hour energies. I'm like, I can't wake up, and I'm like slapping myself. I'm like, stay awake, but I've had
Hold down the Windows territory.
I've had some close calls. Let's just say that. But
Well, I'm glad that they were close calls and didn't didn't take you out
Didn't
completely.
actually die. Yeah. I try and be better now, but it's sometimes you gotta, you know.
So I just have a few more questions. Then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Do you have any hidden talents?
I always say video editing because no one because I don't tell too many people in my real life about what I do. Well, they know I edit in wrestling, but they don't know to the extent.
No, that's fair.
Let me think. I'm pretty good at like screaming like metal vocals. And most people don't know that. That's another passion of mine that I've always wanted to like do that. But again, I don't know people in that scene who live in the middle of West Texas. So maybe one day I'll explore that. But that's something I've gotten decent at.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say other than that, I don't have too many talents. I've done like stand up a couple of times, but nothing crazy.
I mean, I've never done that. So I would call that a hidden talent. I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I only did it like twice, but
Well, you did it.
It was interesting. It's scary. It's much scarier than filming a death match or something like,
Like, yeah, I gotta worry about his light tubes.
Yeah.
I hope no audience member to stand up to like tube you, but get fucked over Firejay. See with the bundle.
I had a coworker recently who messaged me, an old coworker, and she was like, I want to go to one of those light tube stick fights. And I said, oh, yeah, that's what they're called. You got it right on the first try.
Bless your
light tube
heart.
stick fights.
Oh, bless her heart. She gonna find out.
She gonna find out.
It's like, oh, light tubes. Okay, dope. Okay, so now we're to the fuckery board portion of the evening where there's just gusset plates glued on a board for no apparent reason other than to hit somebody with. How do you feel about that?
Did she say fuckery board or shortery board, with like the cheeses and
no, it's not a charcuterie board. Like
that's what the word is. I said like shortery board.
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
No, and it's actually like a charcuterie board, but like
charcuterie board. Yeah.
Charcuterie board, however you want to put it. I know what you meant. The fancy boards with the meat and the cheeses and the crackers and the fruits and stuff.
Yeah.
And gusset plates and scissors and forks and metal cans.
Oh my god.
Deathmatch charcuterie board coming at you.
Genius.
Now I'm like thinking of like, what would a deathmatch charcuterie board be like?
Just one of those really nice cutting boards with gussets on it,
Gussets and like, oh, would you like a syringe? Like,
oh my god,
the syringe spots.
I got to see Dmitry Alexandrov versus Sawyer Wreck at Wrestle Rave, and they did double syringe through the cheek spots to both of them. It was horrifying. I can't even release the footage. It's so bad. Like,
oh no.
Go check that match out. It's gnarly, but
I need to because I really like both of those people.
Yeah, they're great.
So fantastic, wonderful.
Yeah, Wrestle Rave anniversary show. First show I ever filmed ringside. You can see Sawyer Wreck and Dimitri stab each other through the cheeks with syringes.
That like for as many death matches as I've gone to now, because like when I started the pandemic, I did not like death matches. When I emerged from the pandemic, I was like, fuck yeah, death matches. So the pandemic changed me in that regard. But like I still can't like get over like a syringe spot.
Syringes is as far as I'll go. My two hard limits are knife boards and weed whackers. Those are my hard limits. Where I go, nope, I'm not filming this. Knife boards, if they're done right, it's okay. But I remember the incident where Takeda took a knife board spot and he leaned forward and his back like opened up, and that has always like stuck with me. Oh, scissors are bad too. The Jimmy Lloyd incident when it was like stuck in his yeah, that's another hard limit.
Oh yeah, it's just like a matter of like you have to be so careful around those things, and there's just like such the potential for them to go just like horribly wrong.
I'm just thinking of that Jimmy Lloyd spot again. I'd forgotten. I'd blacked it out.
I'm here to bring up trauma.
He just looks down, his freaking scissors. Oh my god, Takeda, man, it's crazy.
So, moving right along, what would you tell a 10-year-old version of watch out for scissor boards?
10-year-old version of myself. Don't let these kids half your size bully you. Why don't you like take some of them out? Oh my god. I had a kid who used to bully me when I was 10 and he was half my size. Like, but I just wouldn't do anything back. And he knew that, so I'd be like, throw some hands. That'd be my advice. Or
I've been Firejay, pacifist.
That, or like start watching wrestling, like because I didn't start watching until I was 15, so it would have been nice to get those 5 extra years in.
No, that's fair.
But
I've been watching wrestling for as long as I can remember. So I've been through the last bit of the 80s and the early 90s and through the Attitude Era and whatever crap was after that. Ruthless Aggression, is that what they call it after that? Not that I was like the biggest Attitude Era gal either, but I think a lot of people have like a real nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, was it really that good? Or was it just that good because you were young?
Right. First pay-per-view I ever saw was WrestleMania 30. So Daniel Bryan versus Batista and Randy Orton.
Dang.
It was a decent show. Undertaker losing, all that good stuff. Like
it's like I feel like a crypt keeper.
I've been around.
So if you had an Ivan Firejay scented candle, what would it smell like?
Probably an iced latte. I can't imagine how many iced lattes I've gone through editing, because I'm pretty public about I like editing at coffee shops, So
I do know that.
Yeah, most of my videos have been done in coffee shops, which is a lot of fun as well when you're doing like a deathmatch video and you turn around and there's someone across the room like
just horrified, like what the fuck does this person do?
Oh, here, I'll tell you the worst incident of that.
Please do. I'm excited.
I was using Premiere Pro, which is my editing software, and there's little like audio like indicators on the side. So some like local musician chick came up to me and was like, "Oh, like do you record songs?" And I was like, "Oh no, I do videos." And I pointed, and I was doing a Deathmatch Down Under video. And I don't know, it's insane that it caught it at just this moment. It was Callan Butcher, shout out Callan, biting into a light tube. And I remember her going, oh. And I was just like, no, like it's just at the wrong time. But no, it's almost every coffee shop around where I live is like a Christian coffee shop. So it's like all people going in there to like do Bible study and stuff. And then I'm like sitting at the bar editing people like covered in blood, like hitting each other with glass.
Just like Jesus.
It's led to a couple of moments when it's like, what are you working on? I'm like, oh God. Like just freaking Callan had to bite a light tube right at that moment.
That's fantastic. Like that is the perfect moment for someone to really question what you're doing and be so kind as to ask you about it.
I had a buddy of mine before he became friends with me. He was like, I thought you were editing like porn or something. And then I met you, and then I was like, oh, that's what he edits. And
I wonder if people think you're editing like snuff films or something.
I don't know, but it's
blood, half naked people. Like
it's times like that I miss when I was a writer, for a wrestling journalist, because I could just pretend I was writing some article about something else. So, what can you do? It comes with the territory.
Someday somebody will see you editing something, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's so and so," and you'll become like BFFs.
Maybe so.
I have high hopes. So, what is the biggest animal that you could take in a fight with just your hands, no weapons?
This is an Old Spaces question.
Yes, it is. Not the other Old Spaces question, like the PGA Old Spaces question.
Yeah. I remember the other questions is horrible. Freaking V. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to message him now and bring that up. Be like, if you were in a dark alley. That's an inside joke. I'm so sorry.
or I guess there's another Spaces question. It's also
no, we're not, no. Not that one. Moving on. Okay. That one's so not bad. Animal? That one's not that bad. We're not going to talk about that one, though. Okay.
We'll move on.
Biggest
Everyone
animal.
else can wonder about it.
Oh, like a deer, but not one with antlers.
It's like a doe. Like a lady deer.
And it would be close, It would be like if I fought one 100 times, I'd win like 40, But like, but I don't know, probably that, probably a doe then. Maybe like a big dog, that was like didn't have teeth, I was
gonna say that it's toothless.
Like an old big dog, like
Clifford. You're just gonna fight Clifford.
Just knock the dentures out of his mouth and just. You can tell I've never been in a fight with anything.
Same. So how do you take your pancakes? What do you like in them and on them?
I used to freak people out because I used to eat them with no syrup, no butter, just plain pancakes.
I mean, that's a choice.
Yeah, but now I do, syrup and butter.
Okay, you engage in toppings.
Yeah, I was a very plain Jane, like kind of person growing up.
I am too, but pancakes are just open for experimentation.
Yeah, I recently had like the chocolate chip pancakes at Denny's, and there was a lot of chocolate that almost took me out. I was like, this is too much, but.
I like a good chocolate chip pancake. I like to put peanut butter on my chocolate chip pancakes.
Oh, okay. Give me a stack of buttermilk with butter and syrup, and I'm happy.
Hell yeah. Can't go wrong with classic pancake.
You can't.
So I'm going to take you on like a mental journey.
Oh, boy.
So just like bear with me.
Okay.
So imagine that you're hungry.
Okay.
And you want something sweet. And you're at the store and you're walking down the aisles, all the aisles, and you go down the cookie aisle and you're like, hell yeah, I love cookies. Who doesn't love cookies? And you're like, I want cookies. So you go to the cookie aisle and you're looking, you're like, you don't want chocolate chip cookies. You don't want like the fancy Milano cookies. You want America's favorite cookie, which is indeed the Oreo. So you go to the section where all the Oreos are, and you're like, I don't want the store brand Oreos. I want like regular Oreos, like real Oreos. But you don't want any of the flavors. Like you eschew the flavors because you're like, I don't need a Swedish fish Oreo today. You just want like a chocolate cookie and a white cream center Oreo, but you still have choices. So are you picking like a thin with just like very small cookies, very small amount of cream? Are you picking like your regular OG Oreo with just, the standard amount of cookie to cream? Are you picking like a double stuffed, which supposedly has twice the amount of stuff, but really it's only like a time and like 2/3? Or are you picking like the most stuff, like getting all of the stuff?
Regular, just, I like, that's a good amount. If I could get the yellow vanilla ones as well, that would make me really happy.
Oh, so you're a golden Oreo guy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, you just revealed so much about my personality with that.
Ivan Firejay has layers, and there are apparently layers of golden Oreos.
Yeah, apparently.
Fair enough. The unofficial correct answer to that question is, of course, double stuffed Oreos. Even though it's not technically twice the stuff, it's more like a time and 2/3. It's fine.
Didn't realize there was correct answers. Okay.
It was an official correct answer. I'm not going to judge you for your choices.
Okay.
But there is a right answer.
I mean, I feel judged, but it's okay.
Just because of that, or
it's okay. Never. It's fine.
It's like our whole thing. We have like a logo that's based on a double stuffed Oreo.
Well, true.
But it's fine. Have all of these single stuffed golden Oreos that your heart can handle. I will be more than happy to support you in your Oreo endeavors. Fine by me. Whatever you like.
Well, thank you for approving of my choices.
Well, this question comes from Vic. When we did it live, he would always ask this question. So now that we're not live, I ask this question on behalf of Vic. Who do you think has the best gear of all time?
Oof. Of all time?
Yes.
Toshiaki Kawada. The gold, the yellow and black, it's just oof. Killer.
Okay.
But if we're talking someone a little more modern, I'll go with that. I'll just name a couple people whose gear I really like. Martyr, I like his gear. Dale Springs, obviously.
He has a whole look about him.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think who else. I like how Moxley has his like jeans, but there's always something a little different in the design. Like there's a different logo or there's different like color in it. As a diehard Hangman fan, I'd probably say current Hangman is probably best gear in wrestling right now.
For like, I guess she's not really indie wrestler anymore, but like an indie wrestler that I like her gear. Willow Nightingale.
Oh,
I love her gear.
Her gear's great.
She's a great person, but like her gear is always, I think her color palette just like speaks to what I enjoy for colors.
It's like the purples and the violets and the lilacs, it pops.
Yeah. So I think maybe that's why plus it's like glittery and sparkly and I love like glitter and sparkles. So her gear always speaks to me, but I think that best gear of all time is always very individual. It's definitely what speaks to you and what you enjoy aesthetically. Also, just the stuff that stands the test of time, the stuff that you remember doesn't always have to be the flashiest gear, but gear that when you see it, you know whose it is.
Yeah, that's why I like Kawada's so much. I like that All Japan, just black and yellow. And you saw that come out and you were like, oh, I'm going to get kicked in the head tonight. Let's go. Like, it was coming.
See? So what do you have coming up on your plate that you can tell us about as far as like if you have some upcoming video packages or upcoming shows that you're going to be at?
Let me think. Start with
cool
shows.
Stuff coming out.
Yeah, we'll start with shows. I will be at Wrestle Raves in your warehouse in next Saturday. It's either next Friday or next Saturday. I think it's next Saturday. Which will be a great show. Ida Surreal versus Heidi Howitzer. That'll be great. Aaron Mercer versus Shota. Monsters Ball with Dimitri and Merck and Great Scott and Sky de Lacrimosa. I'll be doing the video package for that as well. That'll be fun. Never seen a Monsters Ball match, so that'll be great. And ASF versus Kid Bandit will also be on that show, which will be great. And then after that, I'll be at Inspire's Christmas show, which is free, I believe, for fans. And that'll be in Austin. They haven't announced any matches for that yet. And then after that, there's another show I'm trying to get booked on in between those. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but see. I'll just say it's Uncanny Attractions in Austin. I'm trying to get booked on that show because there's a lot of people I love on that show. And then after that, so those two, Wrestle Rave and Inspire, and then Pele, I was running another show in January. So that'll be good. Kind of hinting at Mike Bennett versus Fuego del Sol might happen in that show because Mike Bennett's the new Pele Pro champion by nefarious means, but
Mike
Chandler
Bennett's a great
Hopkins
person.
was robbed, and then, but Mike Bennett's great, so he's a pretty good champion. So those are the shows I have coming up. Videos, I'm doing more stuff with GCW lately. Me and IWTV recently kind of reconnected, and I just did the video, for Cruel and Tremont, set to that creepy ass Casey and the Sunshine Band remix from the Dahmer trailer, which as I was editing, I was like looking over my shoulder. That's such a creepy song. Other than that, I never know what I'm going to be editing. It's always all over the place. But, I have a couple of highlight reels coming up for people like me and Austin Luke are going to be doing something. That's the only one off the top of my head I can think of. Good. But we love Austin, so that one should be great. And probably after the December, either 2nd or 4th, one of those day shows, I'll probably take the rest of the month to just save money for Christmas presents. But that'll probably be my last show of the year, and I'll probably slow down videos a little bit. But then, day after Christmas, we back at it, just doing all this stuff.
Hell yeah. Well, are you still open for commissions? Yes.
Yes. I briefly stopped doing commissions early in the year when I was at that horrible customer service job, but no, yeah, I'm open to commissions, for wrestlers, companies, and even personalities or even fans. If you just want a video in your head, you're like, I want to see a video set to this song, I'll do it. Just direct message me and then we'll talk.
So reach out to Ivan for all of your video needs. I will have to say, have you seen Heidi Howitzer in person before?
Yeah, no, I know Heidi.
Okay. I was like, I thought you had, but I didn't know for sure. She is one of the funniest individuals to watch wrestle. She's so charismatic, and she is constantly playing to the crowd. I love Heidi. Friend of the stack, Heidi.
There's only a handful of people that can make me break when I'm doing when I'm filming, I'm trying to be kind of serious, but there are moments when Heidi is one of those people who will say something, I'll just put my head down. I'm like, oh God, you got me. So I'm trying to be no, I'm part of the show. I'm not trying to laugh, and then it's shoot, you broke me. I'm corpsing over here.
Heidi's great. I love her. So sounds like you have a lot coming up on your plate. Again, always open for commissions. Find Ivan Firejay. But on that note, where can people find you? Twitter, Instagram, if you have a Facebook business page, a YouTube, Twitch, if you have Patreon, OnlyFans, TikTok, a merch store, whatever you have, plug everything.
All right, let me think of what I have. Main place is Twitter at Ivan Firejay, Instagram at Firejay Media, YouTube Firejay Media, Brainbuster Tees Ivan Firejay. I have just a couple little hats and stickers and stuff of my logos. I think yes, I do have a sticker of my new logo, which I debuted a couple months ago. And I don't have a Facebook or any OnlyFans or LinkedIn or anything like that. But main place, if you want to just keep up, is Twitter, at Ivan Firejay.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate having you. It was really fun just to catch up with you anyway. This has been A Stack. I'm Val Pancakes. This has been Ivan Firejay. Make sure to check him out, especially on Twitter, but Instagram. He just told you where to find him, so go to those places.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I want to do one last shout out.
Okay.
Shout out Val Pancakes. What I'm very bad at keeping up with people in wrestling, but like you're always someone I know I can go and talk to. You're a constant source of positivity, and I feel very lucky to call you a friend.
Aw, you're gonna make me cry over here. Thank
Shout out,
you.
Val.
Aw. I am just lucky that I get to do the things that I do with the people that I get to do them with. I've been so blessed to have met so many amazing people like yourself, like, Christopher and Chuck and Jimmy that I do Bald Monkey stuff with, all the people in the Southeast that have taken me in and treat me like one of their own. I'm going to Chattanooga, not this weekend, but next weekend for ICW.
So jealous.
In Chattanooga. And it's like, I'm so excited to get to see my Southeast people. I get to see some of my deathmatch people. And it just makes my heart so full that I know that I can go to wrestling anywhere. I can go to wrestling anywhere. And there's probably somebody that I will know there. And it's like, what a blessing. What a treat.
Awesome.
It makes me so happy. So thank you for being a part of my little growing circle. I appreciate you.
Always.
On that note, thank you once again, Ivan. Thank you to Wrestling Over Everything, Boop Boop, and Table Bump for sponsoring the Bald Monkeys and the staff. And thank you for tuning in.